everyone's dream honeymoon destination. With Paris being the world's capital of love and romance, France is by all standards the most popular attraction in Western Europe. Anyone from a history buff, foodie, to a fashionista has good reason to make it a must-do on her bucket list, if she can afford to. But France doesn't just thrive on tourists with cameras and freshly exchanged euros. It is among the top 10 largest economies in the world and the third in the European Union. With nearly 30 of the world's biggest companies there, it is one of the top countries in the Fortune Global 500. Economic advancements aside, it is also lauded for higher education in the EU as well as globally. 3 out of the top 100 universities in the world are from France. And in business education, there are 5 schools that feature among the world's top 100 B schools, with names like INSEAD and HEC Paris competing for even higher thrones. A combination of those attractions makes France a target for MBA applicants from outside the country. In this video, we will walk you through the benefits of an MBA in France, which B schools you should target, and what you would need to get an admission, and also what to expect in the future after you obtain the degree. So hang on till the end. Let's talk about the benefits of an MBA in France. Though one of the largest in the world and among the top in the EU, the French economy is being plagued by a few issues lately, namely unemployment, which is at 9.1% and one of the highest in the EU, and also economic growth, which dropped from 2.3 to 1.7% in 2018, rising oil prices, political uncertainties, global trade crisis, and the state of the euro has been slowing the country's growth. So what are the upsides then? France also has one of the most resilient economies that recovered the fastest from the recent recession. Though the production of economic goods and services has been sluggish, its real GDP has been rising in recent years, growing by almost 2%. Tax reforms and more consumer spending are positive factors that can help improve its economic situation. France has also been a target for direct foreign investment. In 2017, it saw the highest in a decade, with over 40 billion euros in foreign capital invested in foreign firms in the country. So there's a more business-friendly outlook taking over. Currently, the French economy is looking at reforms that are going to not only take the present economic stagnation towards growth, but also take the necessary steps to fill the skill gaps. That's one of the major concerns behind unemployment. Business graduates coming in with their wealth of skills are at an advantage of being present in this business-friendly, forward, and reform-based outlook for the French economy. The French higher education system, divided between its public universities and the Grande École, is one of the finest systems in Europe and the world. The country has close to 500,000 international students, with the government actively setting aside funds to support the intake of even more, about $12 million in the next decade and a half. The universities are also investing in postgraduate level degrees taught almost entirely in English. Currently, there are a little over 1,000 of those. As far as business degrees are concerned, France has quite a few respectable names in the circle. INSEAD and HEC Paris have been showing up in the top 20 very consistently. Some of the other B schools in France managed to make it among the toppers lists in Europe as well as outside. Here's a list of some of the top business schools offering the best MBA programs in France. Let's talk about the MBA cost and duration. As is true for a lot of European MBA programs, French MBA options are shorter, some even less than a year. Excluding the top names such as INSEAD and HEC, the average tuition amounts to about $50,000, which is much less compared to its North American substitutes. The return on investment looks even better if the opportunity cost of an additional 1 year of work is taken into consideration. What about life in France? Clearly, France doesn't need an introduction on how desirable it is as a tourism hotspot. If globe-trotting is on your mind, then this is probably somewhere on the top of your list. The museums, the beaches, French food and wine, cheese, and whatever goodness your mind can grasp is also within your hands. But if you want to stay and study or work in the country, there are certain aspects that can help you along the way. French is a valuable foreign language to learn. It is spoken in all continents and is the 6th most spoken language in the world. How does this help your cause? It can help you land jobs within the country, as well as in sectors where knowledge of a foreign language is a skillful asset. Also, if you want to get a head start in jobs in the United Nations, where French is an official language, UNESCO and NATO, among the other global organizations. Living on a budget is relatively easy. Medical care is taken care of by the state, as long as you are a resident. International students are usually covered by their institutions. Also, internationals who live and work in France and have been there for more than 3 years are eligible to be covered under their government funding for medical care. Here's the cost of living in some of the popular cities in France. Let's talk about jobs in France after an MBA. The Fortune Global 500 list in France includes automotive, insurance, aerospace, pharmaceuticals, retail, technology, and banking sectors, among others. Christian Dior, Schneider Electric, Michelin, L'Oreal, Saint-Gobain, or Saint-Gobain if you prefer the American pronunciation, are just some of the famed ones among them. Besides being a stepping stone to employment in France, the top B schools also help their graduates secure gainful jobs within Europe. For instance, nearly 80% of the international graduates in this B school managed to secure positions outside their home country. Nearly 2/3 got into positions across EU. And this trend is not just isolated to a few B schools. According to GMAC's Corporate Recruiter Survey, international hiring among European and Asian companies is higher as compared to US companies. American companies are generally apprehensive about the uncertain future policies with regards to internationals working in the US, which is why only 48% of US employers, as compared to 71% of European ones, are willing to show any interest in hiring internationals. So an MBA in France can be quite a bonus for those looking to obtain work there or elsewhere in the EU. Here's a list of the typical employers recruiting MBA graduates in France. And here's a list of the average MBA salaries in France. Let's talk about the work permit for international students in France. As a foreign student with a long-term student visa, you can be allowed to work for 20 hours a week as long as your academic schedule is not being tampered with. The next steps towards residentship can take the following road. Graduating master's or higher degree students should apply for an APS. In English, it translates to a temporary resident permit, which is valid for 1 year. It is essentially a job search condition on your student visa status that allows you to work part-time while looking for full-time employment. Students from India can extend this APS for an additional 1 year. That's a total of 24 months to look for a job in France. If you manage to find a full-time employment contract in this period, you can be assigned one of two kinds of work permits. CDD, which means there's a fixed period of time for you to legally work with a company. CDI allows you to work for a company indefinitely. Both CDD and CDI require you to apply for a change of status from a student visa to the work permit and are attached with the probation period. This is usually for a period of 2 months, in which time the company may decide your fate on whether they will commit to you or not. With a CDD or the limited work permit, you should either start looking for another job or work with your current employer to convert your CDD to a CDI. With a CDI, you should apply for a residence permit, which is valid for 1 year, and renew it each year to stay and work in France legally. Generally, after 5 years of renewing the residence permit, the prefecture or the body that issues these permits issues a 10-year residence permit, which can be valid for much longer and essentially works as a permanent residentship in France. To make it into one of the elite business schools in France, you'll need all or some of the following. A bachelor's qualification. Almost all schools will need some form of basic undergraduate training. There are some, like HEC Paris, who can waive the requirement of a degree if you have sufficient supplementary work experience or an outstanding quality that sets you apart. Most B schools require a minimum of 2 to 3 years of work experience. On an average, class profiles from previous years seem to indicate an experience of 6 or more years. It is often essential to demonstrate qualities of leadership, initiative, teamwork, and management through accomplishments at work. GMAT or GRE score. This helps B schools to assess the basic readiness of the applicant through their quant, analytical, and verbal skills. Typical GMAT scores for the top schools are over 690. English proficiency test score. You can prove your mettle for communicating in English through one of these exams. Schools may have their preference of tests and minimum scores. You also have reference letters, resume, essays, and transcripts. Successful applicants are usually called for interviews before a final decision is made. So where should you get your MBA in France? There are some globally popular B schools that you should consider in your search. Here's the list of the best full-time MBA programs in France. And the best executive MBA programs in France. We strongly recommend you to explore the options we've mentioned here and others we didn't as well. We'll share some interesting articles in the description below so you can learn more. France is an exceptionally attractive country for education, living, traveling, and especially as a gateway to a sea of career options in the rest of Europe. So research your schools and get in touch with us if you need any professional assistance to help you experience the goodness of studying, living, and eventually working in France. Good luck to you.